Good evening. Photogenic, so.
It's okay. Good evening, ma'am. How are you today?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Good, good. We're here at the bus station beside Walmart at intersection of Roosevelt and US-19 in Largo, Florida. What's your name, ma'am?
Toni Marie Villanueva.
I understand you're homeless at the moment?
Yes, sir. I just moved into a sober living house.
Okay, so how long were you homeless before you moved into the sober living house?
On and off for 30 years.
You've been homeless on and off for 30 years?
Yes, sir.
What's the longest stretch of those 30 years that you were continuously homeless?
About 10 years.
10 years? And how long ago was that?
About 5-6 years ago. Yeah, so from 2005 to 2017, so 12 years.
You're in sober living, so that would kind of indicate that you have some substance abuse or alcohol abuse problems?
Yes. My drug of choice was crack.
Your drug of choice was crack?
Was crack, yeah.
When did you last use crack?
A little over 2 weeks, maybe like 15, 16 days ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
How does crack make you feel?
Crack made me feel like shit.
Makes you feel like shit?
It made me feel like shit.
Is there any kind of positive or euphoria when you first smoke it that feels good?
There's a moment of, but after that, it's just misery.
What's so addictive about it? Why does it make it so? What makes it so hard to stop smoking crack? Because I understand it's very, very difficult to stop. I've always been told.
It made me. It was hard to stop due to the fact that I chose not to. It was the only drug in the world that I've ever had that called me. It called me on a continuous basis. Like it would be like an automatic drive to go get it, even if I didn't want to, and I would find myself there. The need to chase the dragon, so to speak, wanting to get that remembrance of that very first, only lasts a couple of seconds and then it's gone. It's an evil.
Yeah, when I hear chase the dragon, that's what I understand it to mean, is you're chasing that first high, the first time you did that particular drug. I usually hear it associated with heroin, but I guess it can be associated with crack as well.
The first time I ever heard chasing the dragon, of course, was like in the late 80s, and it was associated with heroin, but it can apply to all of it. That first moment of, it brought me out of thinking. It took me away from feeling. It numbed, but it didn't numb. It was just a ball and chain, and it was my God, it was my everything, it was my nemesis, it was my husband, it was my worst friend, my best friend. It became something that was so innate that I thought I couldn't live without it. My body and my mind felt as if that was the only thing that would make me feel better, and it wasn't. It wasn't true.
What other drugs do you do from time to time, or have you in the last few months done from time to time?
I did meth, fentanyl.
Fentanyl?
Yeah.
You intentionally did fentanyl?
Yes.
How much fentanyl did you do in a single dose, let's say, in a single session?
I can't tell you that, other than I know.
Show us with your hand.
About a line the size of my fingernail.
Did you snort it? You say line, so...
Yeah, I snorted fentanyl. And then, unfortunately, without choice, they're cutting all the drugs with fentanyl. So, crack, meth, even the powder cocaine had the fentanyl in it.
So it's all got a little fentanyl in it?
Everything nowadays has fentanyl in it. Yeah, so when I got sober by choice, my body went through as if I was kicking heroin again, and it hurt me to my bones. I was sick for about 4 or 5 days, really bad. The restless leg syndrome, the whole kit and caboodle. But I've been to 8. I completed successfully 8 rehabs, been to 10 throughout these years. And they always say when you're sick and tired. Well, I've learned in my sobriety searching that it's not when I'm sick and tired, because every time I was sick and tired, I laid down, took a nap, got up, and I did it over again. And this applies to everything in life. I find that if you're disgusted with something, that's the only time you're going to change. And finally in my life, I am truly disgusted at the age of 52. I don't want to walk the streets anymore, prostitute, being a grandmother.
So you've been a prostitute before?
Been a prostitute for 30 years.
Been a prostitute for 30 years?
Yes, sir. Yeah. I'm disgusted. I don't want to do that.
How many kids do you have?
I have 3.
Have you ever gotten pregnant by one of your Johns?
No, by the grace of God, no.
Okay. Where are your kids?
My children all, My youngest is in Chattahoochee right now for the criminally insane.
Chattahoochee?
Yeah.
Is that in Georgia?
No, that's here. Chattahoochee Mental Hospital.
Chattahoochee Mental Hospital. What town in Florida is that in?
In Chattahoochee, it's right outside of Tallahassee. It's the state mental hospital.
Chattahoochee, Florida. Okay.
He's there for the criminally insane. He lost his mind. He drug-induced psychosis from the meth. My other son, Nicholas, he is in jail right now. Also, drug-induced psychosis. He shot somebody while on meth. And my oldest son, who is 31, is smoking crack. So.
That's the oldest one, 31?
Yes.
Where is he geographically? Is he in Florida?
He's in Panama City. That's
He's
where
in
I
Panama.
from.
He's a Panama City smoking crack. When's the last time you talked to him?
He actually hit me up yesterday for the first time in 2 months.
I mean, he called you or hit you up for money or just
No.
called to say
I'm
hi?
sorry. Hit me up. He's just like, "Hey, Mom, how you doing?" You know, that was it. And so that was the start.
On the off chance that he, your oldest son, might see this video ever someday, what message would you send to him?
It's possible. It's possible. You just have to change your mind. You have to get disgusted. And when you're disgusted, son, just reach out. There's so many people out there that are willing to help you, that are willing to do what it is that you need done. You know,
When you say it's possible, you mean it's possible to get off crack?
It's possible to get off crack, and it's possible to change your life. There are people there's a whole slew of network of people out there that are willing. Just have to be able to let go of your pride and say, "Hey, I need help," because it's not something you can do on your own. It really isn't. Empowering by other people who have the like-mindedness to change is what's helping.
So let's go back to your youngest son, the one that's in
The mental
Chattahoochee for being criminal insane. What did you say his offense was again? His criminal offense?
It's aggravated assault with a deadly weapon with the intent to kill.
Were you smoking crack when you were pregnant with him?
Yes.
Do you attribute that to the problems he has at all? He was basically a crack baby, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. But they never tested him. And I was able to walk away from the hospital with him and his older brother, Nicholas. Nobody said anything. Nobody.
So you were able to take the kids with you, and did that surprise you at the time?
Yes, we did.
And you were glad of it, though.
Yes.
Did you want to take them?
Yes, I did. I love my children, but unfortunately, they became an inconvenience to my drug use. And
Your children were an inconvenience to your drug use.
Yeah, I can't say it any other honesty than that. And I knew that I couldn't drag them through that lifestyle.
1 second, let this bus take off. Okay, you say you couldn't drag your youngest son through.
I couldn't drag all three of them through the lifestyle.
Hang on, let's just bus go by. I'm sorry. Got some buses going by, folks. I'm going to let them go by, and we'll be able to hear Toni a little better.
Yeah, no, the brutal honesty of the whole thing is that, you know, everybody and everything was an inconvenience to my drug use in my mid-20s. And I loved them so dearly that I knew that I had to give them to my parents because I didn't want them to go through the system. My parents, thank you, Jesus, were willing to take all three of them and give them the environment of structure and love and stability that they needed.
And they still ended up smoking crack,
yeah,
and in jail, and in a hospital for the criminally insane.
Yeah.
How old were your kids when your parents took custody of them?
Richard was like 3. So it'd be 3, 4, and 7, you know, and then I came back into their lives 10 years later, and I raised them by myself from a short period of time until they were 18, and so no, I take that back about being homeless. I didn't become homeless again until 2007. I apologize about that. So, I'm sorry, time frames are really scattered sometimes in my brain.
It's okay.
Due to the fact that
I appreciate you sharing this with us. It's okay.
Yeah, it just gets scattered. You know, I'm not lying to you at all. I'm just, you know, I forget sometimes the timeline is not what I remembered it to be. You know, I do contribute what I did and my drug use to their demise, so to speak. But also, I also know the simple fact that they are grown adults with free will and choices of their own. Now, it doesn't take away from the fact that they didn't have the proper coping skills or the proper learning skills or just the proper understanding of how to deal with life on life's terms. without the use of drugs and alcohol. You know, my whole family is nothing but alcoholics and drug addicts. I come from
Your parents?
Yeah. Yeah.
What drugs were they using?
What drugs weren't they using? You know, that's a better thing.
Was crack around?
No, the cocaine. My father was a heroin addict when I was a very young age. Alcohol and marijuana and cocaine were the main three things throughout my life.
Before you went into the the sober living house, where were you sleeping at night?
In a tent in Panama City.
A tent in Panama City. How long had you been staying in that tent? Was it with your son?
No. I was there for 9 months. I would go stay at his house on the weekends when the babies would come occasionally with the grandbabies. Other than that, I was living in a tent. Prior to that, wherever, you lay your head down.
What advice would you give someone who is newly homeless or about to be homeless? What advice would you give them about how to survive on the streets being homeless?
How to survive on the streets? That is something that is individually. Find well-lit areas. If you have to sleep somewhere, find well-lit areas. I really don't know what to say about that. I really don't. I'd rather not.
What advice? You'd rather not what?
I'd rather not give them advice on how to survive on the
What
street.
advice would you give someone who's new to the same type of, assuming, street prostitution that you were involved in?
There are numbers and resources that you can find. Look on, if you have an internet or a phone, look up and find those numbers. It's like a 411 or 211, something like that, and call until someone says, yes, we'll help you. There's so many resources that may not have the availability at that moment, but you are worth more than selling your body for the next fix, for whatever the reason it is. Your body is your temple, and you must keep it as so. And if you are, know that you're not unworthy. You're not broken. You're not broken goods, man. You're not broken goods. You're good. You're good.
So before I ask you this next question, I want to clarify something. You're not presently working as a prostitute, correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you plan on ever doing that again?
By the grace of God, I hope not. I don't want to.
If you would like to give a phone number out in case someone wants to help you or reach out to or has questions, any reason they might want to call you, would you like to give a phone number?
I don't have a problem with that. Not at all.
Okay. What's the phone number?
It's 850-280-0319.
850-280.
0319.
Okay. I'm going to go and end the interview, but if you folks want to stay tuned on my channel, I might ask her if she would be kind enough to do another interview with more of a focus on the prostitution subject. Thanks. Have a nice day.